All right, everybody. Today I would like to go over just the basic setup for the first project. That would be the advertisement for Sanibel Island. Now, as you can see here, I have three windows that are open. Okay, there is InDesign, which I have sort of minimized, and in the middle here, I've got the assignment specs right here on our Moodle page, so I can reference those quickly and easily. And I've also got in this window over here the photos that you can download from Sanibel Island. Now these photos were these are copyright free because they were taken by the sister of my predecessor, I believe. So you know they're copyright free. They're free to use. I'm just going to say right from the get-go, if you don't find anything interesting right there, feel free to go online to Unsplash. Okay, Unsplash is here I'll maximize this for a second. Unsplash is a copyright-free photo resource, and so I typed in Sanibel Island, did a search. There's a bunch of images to search, to look through. I don't know that all of them are specifically Sanibel Island, okay, because a couple of them, like this one, obviously aren't. That's Ellis Island, or well, not Ellis Island. The island that the Statue of Liberty's on, whatever they call that thing. I don't know, that little thing. When I see the Statue of Liberty, I think of Ellis Island because of immigration and all that stuff. Turn of the century, bring me your poor, your huddled masses, and all that stuff. So you can always look at this stuff and try and find something a little more interesting, providing it works with what you want to do. Okay, and like I said, this is Unsplash. So these are all you can see up the name here, unsplash.com. Search Sanibel Island. So you can go through and try and find something really interesting, something that might work really well. Okay. Let's go ahead and make that smaller again, go back to the assignment, and do the basic setup. All right, now, what you're going to notice right off, okay, is that the interface example right here is from an older version of InDesign. So basically, if you just you can kind of ignore this. Actually, I should just take it out. And just go with what it says up here. Your setup should be just fine. Okay. All right. So Sanibel Island ad. You will design a full-page advertisement for Sanibel Island. This ad might appear in a regional or national travel magazine or promotional magazine. It might also be used as a rack promo card for use at a Chamber of Commerce site or tourist information locations. Your target audience would include a demographic of individuals with enough money to travel, a variety of age groups 20s up, including families. Keep in mind an older audience when selecting fonts and, fonts for readability. Yeah, readability is a huge thing that a lot of people don't think about. If you've taken graphic design 1 from me, you know that one of my big things is readability. I used to work in a sign shop, for crying out loud, so we couldn't get too fancy. Okay, there are decorative fonts and there are fonts for text. Okay, you never want to use a decorative font for text because it's just too hard to read. There's too much going on. Okay, so just keep that in mind when you're setting this stuff up. All right, so let's move this on a little bit. Objectives. Students will demonstrate knowledge of InDesign document set for print, effective photos selection and editing, including levels, cropping, conversion to CMYK, effective use of graphics such as tint boxes, font selection based on target audience, effective use of color throughout the design, use of a bleed, saving a document through the use of package options to collect the document, fonts and links. Actually, in a further video, I'll talk a little bit about the package option. Let's see, good overall design principles, and zipping the folder and uploading to Moodle, which is probably something I'm not going to have you guys do. Okay. Again, this is a little bit older. Nowadays, everybody just uses PDFs. Anyway, all right, so let's go ahead and set this up. File setup. So let's bring this to the fore right here. I'm just going to click on, well, it says go to File, new. So let's go ahead and do that. New document. We'll just, instead of clicking this, we'll just follow the exact thing right there. Okay. Now here's the thing about this assignment. It's pretty much set up for your basic template. Okay, your basic letter size template. That's what 8.5 by 11 is 8.5 by 11 is letter size. So it's one page, 8.5 by 11 letter size, portrait orientation. Okay, so let's go through the specifics here. I'm gonna, right from the get-go, I don't like using picas. I had to use them when I worked at the newspaper. I do not care for them because I can never remember what size things are. So I'm gonna put on inches because, you know, I'm an American. And so we got 8.5 by 11, portrait orientation, one page. Facing pages doesn't need to be clicked because there's only one page. I'll just take that right off. Let's see, I'm going to move this up just slightly. We don't need page numbers. Okay, one column. Yep, one column, that's already set there. Let's see, our gutter is the default, which is 0.1667 inches. Okay, we don't need to worry too much about margins because it's just one page and it's the default. Okay, and we do have a bleed though. Okay, and 1/8 of an inch bleed, which is, as you can see down here, 0.125 inches. Okay, so and here's the thing about that: if you just click once, there you go. And provided this little chain here thing isn't broken, when you click on the one, they'll all update. Okay, and you don't have to worry about slug here. So you just click on create. Okay, now let's open this up a little bit more. Now this right now is the book setting. Okay, and that was probably because the last thing that I worked on last semester was a booklet for this class. It's actually your last assignment. What you're probably going to see is essentials. Okay, so this is the essentials setup right here. Okay, if you haven't used InDesign before, you know, like I said, it's not a big deal. We're starting at the very basic level, and you know, be sure to watch I was calling them the Linda videos, but actually it's called it's like LinkedIn Learning or something like that now. They changed their name, but it's the same thing. Now notice on our page here, these are our margins that we set up at 1/2 inch. You can tell by the ruler at the top. Okay, if you don't have rulers set up and you're not seeing the measurements, you can find them up here under view. Just say show rulers. The thing is, InDesign, like all other Adobe programs, will pretty much leave stuff set up the way you had it the last time. Okay. All right, so these are your margins here. This is basically your active area in between here and here, and this is your bleed right here. So what is a bleed? Okay, a bleed is when you have photos or color or any sort of graphic that is going to go off the page. Okay, if it's going to go off the page, you have to have it go at least 1/8 of an inch beyond the actual page itself. If you don't do that and you send a advertisement or a page layout or anything to a publisher and you haven't set up your bleeds correctly, they will send it back to you with a kind of snarky note. Okay, I know because I have been the guy who has written the snarky note saying, dude, you know, you need to fix this, you need to put a bleed on here, or we can do it for you and charge you a lot of money. That's how you do a markup. Okay, so anyway, let's start thinking about the Sanibel thing. Okay, let's go ahead and make this a little smaller again. One thing I'm going to do right from the get-go, before I start placing photos and that kind of thing, is I'm going to take a look at the text. Okay, now it says select one or two readable fonts, either serif or sans serif. You may use variations of the font based on such thing as bold or italic. Keep good contrast with the text in the background. Okay, so you want to make sure the text stands out. And if you've got a photographic background, that's something you really got to think about. For the ad, consider a larger heading. 72 points equals 1 inch. So that'd be like 1 inch type. Such as 1 inch or larger. For the body copy paragraphs, consider using at least 12 point, and you can go up to 13 to 16 points depending on the font. Now remember the target audience here. It says an older audience, so you don't want to have tiny text because then people can't read it. Okay. All right. So let's say use the ½ inch margin to contain the text and not put any text closer than a ½ inch to the edge. If the text wraps around the image, make sure to leave at least an 1/8 of an inch border between the text and the image. Okay, and here's the text that we want to use. Okay, now here's the thing with this: you can just grab this right here, okay, like that, and hit copy, and then come back over here. And let's make this bigger again. And I'm just gonna make a text box. Okay. There's my text box right there. I clicked on the text tool and just dragged a square. Okay. My little blinking cursor is right there. And let's see. I think before I go too much further, I'm going to click on my type tool and select a very basic font. There we go. I've got a lot of goofy fonts that I use for comic book stuff, so I don't want to use any of those. I think for this, what I'm going to use is a very standard text font. I think for the text, what I want to use is probably a serif font. Okay, a serif means that it has the little dealies at the top and the bottom. Oh, what are they called? The baseline and the cap line. You've got the extra little slab there that actually they're designed to help you read stuff in a line. Okay, that's why they originally came up with those. I think what I'll do just for now, I can always change it later if I want to, is go with the most standard font there is, which is probably Times New Roman. So keep scrolling down here. Star Jedi, yeah, that'd be great. Times New Roman. And I'm just going to go with regular for now. Now that's selected, I can go ahead and paste. And there's my basic text right there. Okay. Now here's the thing about that. I will probably want to change this as I go. I can either do this, do that. It reacts to whatever you want to do. Okay. So now that I have that kind of set, I can just put it over to the side. Okay. That's the nice thing about the interface with InDesign. You can bring your stuff in, play around with a little bit, and just kind of set stuff off the side to work on other things. Okay, so you can set this out of the way. It's there whenever you need it. You can change it, do whatever you want to do with it, and we'll get back to that later. Okay, now let's go ahead and import some imagery. I think I might use something a little bit different. I might use one of these ones from Unsplash. So let's go here and take a look at this stuff. I want something that's got a little bit of a design to it almost. When I say design, I mean, oh yeah, that ain't it. I'm thinking about not the whole picture, but certain shapes that I can use to direct the eye where I want it to go. Okay, now some photos lend themselves to that and some don't. All right, so that one's kind of interesting. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. Okay, that's pretty cool. And notice that these are really high-res photos too at Unsplash. I'm thinking about what I could possibly do with this. So I'm going to go ahead and click on download. And you can always say say thanks, create an emblem badge, or just copy this and send thanks later. I'm going to do a save as. And I'm going to put this. Oh, look at that. That was the for Art 236. And I'm going to put this in my Art 211 Sanibel Island photos and just save. All right. It's going to do its little security thing and go ahead and close that and close that. And then put this back over here and open this back up. Okay. So now let's start sort of laying this out. Okay. Let's go ahead and now what I want to do is bring this. I'm going to bring this photo in and then start playing with some text. And I'm not talking about this text. I'm talking about the title text because that's really got to make it stand out. But I want to see how this photo is going to work first. Now I could just open or place. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys how to do this. I'm going to use the rectangle frame tool. Okay. And I'm going to make it the same size as the bleed. Okay. So now what we've got is we've got our basic frame right here. Okay. And what I can do then is go and place, and let's go to, gotta find it again, 2C, Art 211, Sanibel Island, and the one that I just downloaded, that right there. Okay. Oh, content aware stuff, yeah. Okay, I know. All right, now you'll notice that this is way huge, okay? So what we're going to want to do is I just double-clicked on the photo, right? It's really big. When you double-click on it, actually it lets you kind of manipulate what's inside of the thing. Let's go ahead and I'm going to change the size of this thing. Let's see, object, transform, there it is, scale. All right, let's make sure this is linked here. And let's take that down to about 50%. All right, still really big, yeah. Actually, now that it's already sized down, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just kind of scrubby do it just by dragging my corner. Okay, let's see what we got here. All right, so I'm thinking about how I want this to look on the page and what I can do. Now, here's the thing about this, too, that you can kind of play around with. All right, what I am thinking about is this space up here that's nice and dark, and some spaces over here and here. That's one of the reasons why I selected this photo. It's because I've got areas of dark where I could have reverse text. I can have the title up here, and the first block of text right in here, and the second block here. Okay, I think that would probably work. Now I'm going to make this just a touch smaller. And here's the thing about that too. I think I'm going to flip these. So let's see. Let's transform. What we're going to do is we're going to do a flip horizontal. Oh, hang on a minute. Undo flip item. Let's try that again. It flipped over and I clicked off it, so it was on my page here, but I couldn't grab it. So let's transform, flip horizontal, and then grab this and move it back over here. See if that's going to work a little bit better. Okay. I think that works better. Okay, good, good. I may adjust where this is placed. I don't know if I like that little bit of white there, but that'll probably work. Okay, so we've got our Sanibel Island photo. We've got our text here. Now, here's the thing about that. Let me show you how to, before I get into making a title for this thing or something like that, let's talk a little bit about playing around with text. Now, if I move this in here right now, you can see that, well, for one thing, it's behind the photo, and you don't want that. So a really quick way to fix that is to go up to, I think it would be Object, Arrange, Bring to the Front. Now it's on the front, but it's still like unreadable, okay? So we got to be very mindful of that. All right. So let's what we're going to do, because it's black type on a dark background, it's just too it's all just too dark. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the text, okay? And let's see. Let's go ahead and see what that looks like. Actually, you know what? That's a blue. Let's shoot it up right up there so it's almost white. Okay, that's not too bad. You know, that's a little too blue though. You notice that I didn't change the color of where it says Sanibel Island. You know why? Because we're actually going to take that out eventually. That blue is almost a little too close to the blue that that's in the photo. So let's take this all the way up, nearly all the way. Oh, that's way better. Okay. Now here's the thing. It's, you know, I'm running into some, you know, my margin over here, okay, and all of that. So what I need to do is I need to basically break this up, okay, and that's not hard to do, okay, not at all. Sorry about that. I had to take a drink of water there. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to resize this thing and join these up. So what I'm going to do in order to make sure these are, you know, this flowing text, is I'm going to create another text box over here. Okay. Now, what I can do is I can take this text box, move this up, so just the one paragraph is showing. And then, see this little box here with a red plus mark on it? I'm going to click on that with my cursor. Okay, what that just did, that loaded my cursor. And you can see some kind of text moving along with it. And if I go over to this text box, I click, and there it goes. Now, the great thing about this is, and I love this as a feature, if you make this bigger, it makes that shorter. So they are linked, okay? And you can move these anywhere you want to try and create the sort of feel that you need. Now, remember, you've got margins to deal with, so you're probably going to want to play around with those things. The only thing you got to remember is what order that your text blocks are in. Okay, so my top one's right here. And let's see. Now I can always, if I decide I want to create another paragraph, I'll just double click there and hit enter once. Okay, so now they're Let's see, I'm going to need to resize that just a little bit more. Playing with this flowing type, trying to get a good, there we go. All right, now I'm going to have to get rid of this this here too, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to copy that before I delete it out of there. And then also the SanibelIsland.com thing, that can get taken out and put somewhere separately as well. So backspace once more, and again, make our box just a touch smaller so that it works right. Okay, that's working pretty well. So we got our two things right here. I can have the .com down here or something like that. Okay. Now here's the thing too. I can always, if I decide this isn't readable enough or I want to do something else, I can always add like tinted boxes or something like that. Or like this photo here, what I can do with that, once I click on it, is I can go over here to opacity, and I can take the opacity down if I want. See? So you can take the opacity down, but then if I do that, I need to probably do something differently with the text, because now the text's hard to read. So let's go ahead and undo that. Okay. Now, as far as the name Sanibel Island, what I would probably do with that is do something a little bit more interesting. I want to have it kind of fill this space here. See, because what I'm doing is I'm creating kind of a visual arc for the viewers or the reader's eye to follow. So if I have Sanibel Island across here, then the photo kind of draws the eye down here, okay, creating sort of a focal point. All right. So, and this, if I wanted to, I could make this a little bit wider and a little squattier so it fits into the space a little bit better. Something like that. Like I said, these are so fluid and so malleable, you can pretty much do whatever you want to with them. Okay, now I'd already hit copy on the word Sanibel Island. That's just so I don't misspell it later on. It's always, even if you're a terrific speller and all that, it's always good just to play it safe and make sure that you've got stuff, perfectly correct. Oh, while I'm at it, maybe I should align this, the other side. I don't know. That seems to work all right. All right. So let's go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and make a text box, and let's do it the other way around this time. We'll go ahead and we'll paste. Now it says Sanibel Island. It's not formatted. It just says Sanibel Island, really small. And I think what I'm going to do here, let's go ahead and make this 72 point. Okay. Sanibel Island. There it goes. That's just your basic, as you can see over here, Times New Roman, regular 72 point. Nothing really exciting there. Kind of dull, and it's also black, and you can't see it. So we need to play around with this a little bit. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and re-grab this, and I think what I'm going to do is just maybe look through some different fonts. Oh, I think it's actually easier to do up here. So let's do it up here, font. So what you can do is you can kind of actually scroll through these things. If you want, you can like that. So I just highlight it. Now I'm kind of scrolling down, looking for something that's a little different. you can see that the whole thing isn't showing up. Oh, I kind of like that. Hmm. Armor piercing. Okay. Um, it's kind of a different take on it. Bauhaus. And here's the thing for text, you want to go with the regular stuff, but for the title, for the headline, whatever you want to call it, you can use whatever kind of lettering you want. If this were 1995, I'd probably use that. That kind of stuff was very popular. Ooh, there. That if I was going with a pirate theme, that might work. Oh, I kind of like that. Okay, let's take a look. Let's leave it on that, and we'll go ahead and let's make that a little bit bigger. Sanibel Island. Actually, let's do that. I didn't delete that. I just put it on two different lines. Okay. Now here's the thing. Okay, with this. Right now, I'm not real wild about the spacing and stuff. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And over here, we can adjust the leading and the kerning. Okay. Now, if you're not familiar with the concept, okay, they're right over here. If you kind of scroll over them, they should tell you, what they are. But basically, what you can do is just kind of take this down a little bit, something like that. Okay, and that will, if you enlarge the stuff, you might have to adjust that back again. I'm just getting a basic feel for what I want to do. Spacing's all right. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to align this way, though. I can always change the size of the box later. So I think what I'm going to do is maybe make this a little bit bigger, and I think what I'm going to do, let's add some more options there. Drop this down a little bit. Something like that, and maybe do the same thing with the eye. Okay, so this was 95, so let's go ahead and grab this eye, and we're going to make that 95 as well. 95, and we'll drop this down. Okay. I think that's a little too far. Gonna eyeball it. Okay. Kind of like that. Now I can go ahead and I like to make my boxes a little bit smaller so I can see what I'm doing with them, See how that would. Not too bad. Okay. Um, hmm. Thinking. Gonna make the box a little bit bigger. So I think I'm gonna make the whole thing just a little bit bigger. Just grab that whole thing, and now what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to probably gonna have to play around with it again, just make the whole thing bigger. Because when you're working with something like this, you can't really just. It's not like in Photoshop where you can just grab the whole thing and just make it bigger. Well, maybe I can. Let's try and make this. Let's try it at see if that works. Hey, it did. Okay, I didn't know if it would because frankly, it's a newer feature. Okay, so good. I think that's working all right. I don't know. I'll play around with it probably later on. But first, let's make this. Let's change the color on that. We'll just make that. Well, let's try that blue again and see if that works. Sanibel Island. That's not too bad. I don't know. I think for a first little attempt, just kind of playing around. Okay. Um, like I said, I'm just let's see. I'm just playing around with an inner glow. There. Let's take it down just a touch. Okay. That's fine. Normal. Center. That looks precise. Pass it. There. That's a little better. It's adding a little bit. This inner glow is adding just a little touch of white in some of the larger areas here. Okay. Let's click on OK, and here we'll zoom in. So you can see the little white there. It just gives a little extra something. Okay, now that's not even remotely close to being done. You know, like I said, this is just a basic setup showing you how to bring in photos, set up text, all that kind of stuff. One thing you want to keep in mind, though, except for the text, say like you got photos or graphics that you've imported, just remember those aren't really there. Okay, InDesign is based on links. Okay, so if you were to try and just upload an InDesign file without packaging it or turning it into a PDF, you would have a great big nothing. Okay, the same is true if you're using a specialty font. All right, but we'll get into that more later. We're already at 36 minutes, so let's go ahead and do a save as, and we'll just make sure we're in the right thing. Sanibel Island, and we'll just call this, whoops. We'll just do it that way. Sanibel Island photos, and we'll just change this to add 1 fall 2019. We'll do it this way. If I were a student, I would do it that way with my last name somewhere on it. Okay, good. I was just making sure there wasn't a protocol for how to save it. Some older assignments have that, and there's not. Okay, so there you go. There is a basic rundown on how to get started with your Sanibel Island ad. I'll probably modify this one greatly, or try another one. It's okay. It's just just playing around. And that's what you want to do with these programs, with these assignments. Play around with it, see what the program will do. I only covered a few different things that InDesign can do. InDesign can do tons of stuff. Just about every effect that you have in Photoshop or Illustrator is available in InDesign. These programs are wonderfully intuitive and they work great with each other. So play around with it, see what it can do, see what it can't do, and I look forward to seeing your work. All right, talk to you guys later.